Welcome back to the course. In this video for lesson number 3, I'm going to show you how to do the exercises. Now there are only 4 exercises and they are fairly simple, but let's just quickly do them. So you should keep in mind that all those exercises are done so that the logic part is separated from the events part of the loop. So let's get down to business. The first exercise is to print out to the console if button enter or return has been released. So you choose either of those 2 buttons and just make it so that it prints out to the console that one of them has been released. So I'm going to remove the printing out of the mouse position for now, or I'm just going to comment it out because it clutters the console. So now we can clearly see what we're printing out. First, let's make the state for releasing the return key. So up before the main loop, we create a bool. Let's say return released. And let's set it to false. Now let's create the event in the event loop. So we do an if the event type is equal to sf event key released, because we're checking when the key is released, and we do an additional condition to check which key it is. So we do an event.key.code and compare it if it's equal to sf keyboard we had return. So if that event happened, we want to set the return released to true. That covers the event part of it, and in the logic we simply check if return released is equal to true, we print out to the console. So std cout that equipment return has been released, and a new line. And after that we set return release to false so that we don't print out in the next frame. So let's run this. Hold down return and release it, and it says return has been released. So that's exercise number 1. Exercise number 2 is to check if the right mouse button was clicked. If it was, decrease the click count by 1 and print out to the console. This is the same as the left mouse click, but here we decrease the number of clicks by 1 instead of increasing it. So first, let's create the state for the click. I'm just going to name it right click, and at the start we set it to false. In the events part, we have the left mouse button press down or clicked event. So I'm just going to copy that, paste it just right under it, and replace the SF mouse left with SF mouse right. So we're now checking for the right mouse button, and the variable we're going to set to true is right click. It's simple as that. So now we have the event for clicking down the right mouse button. Down the logic, we simply create another if right click is equal to true. So if a right click has been done, we first decrease the number of clicks, and we do that by writing the variable number of clicks, and then we do 2 minuses. So that decreases the variable by 1, as the 2 pluses increase the variable by 1. So you should remember these are very commonly used and very useful. And then we simply print out to the console. We do an std cout left equivalent. Now, and the string number of clicks is space end of the string another left equivalent, and then the variable we want to print out, and that is number of clicks. Another left equivalent and the string for the new line. And after that we just set right click to false because we don't want to print out in the next frame. So if we run this, do a few left clicks, so now number of clicks is 7, and now let's do a right click, and as you can see it goes down into the minus, and a few left clicks it goes back up. So that's exercise number 2. Exercise number 3 is to update the program so that when you click the left mouse button and the x coordinate of the mouse is less than 200, the program closes. Now what we have to do is just add another if statement. So we already check if the left mouse button has been clicked. We do this here in the logic part, where we check the left click state if it's equal to true, and we already have the event for the left mouse click. And we're also checking the position of the mouse down here in the event type is equal to mouse moved, and we're storing the position of the mouse in the mouse x and mouse y variable, and we're going to need the mouse x variable here. So all the events are already done. We have the click and we have the movement and the position. So down in the logic part where we have if left click is equal to true, and after we have increased the number of clicks and printed out to the console, let's add another statement. So another if, and the exercise tells us that if the x coordinate of the mouse is less than 200, then we want to close the program. So we simply already checked if the left click has been done. So in the logic of it, we want to do another if and check if mouse x, so the x position of the mouse, is less than 200. And if that is true, we want to close the program, and we do that by setting play to false, which stops the main game loop and closes the program. So if we run this, and I have the mouse at the right side of the window where x is more than 200 and click, it just prints out to the console. But if I do a click on the left side of the window, it's going to go in here, check if mouse x is less than 200, which it is, and it will set play to false, which will close the application. That was exercise number 3. And exercise number 4, we want to check if button left and right are pressed down together. They don't have to be pressed down at the same frame or at the same time, but we want that if you hold down the left button and press the right button additionally, it will print out to the console. So this is just a matter of logic. First we have to create the events for it. So we'll need 2 states. We want to have a bool for left pressed, which is set to false, and another bool for right pressed, which is set to false. And now we need to create 2 events that handle pressing down those 2 keys. So I'm just going to copy the space key pressed event, paste it down here, and just replace the SF keyboard space with SF keyboard left. So we're now checking if the left key has been pressed down. And we set the variable left pressed to true. And let's do the same for the right button. Copy and paste, change what button we are checking, so we're checking for SF keyboard right, and we set the right pressed variable to true. Now in the logic part, we want to create an if that only executes when both of those variables are true. So let's do an if left pressed is equal to true and right pressed is equal to true. then we want to print out to the console. So we do an std cout left element, and we print left and right are pressed down, and a new line. If you run this now, it will work, but it's also going to have a flaw, and that is because when we press down, let's say, the left key, it's going to set the left pressed state to true, and even if you release the left key, it's still going to stay at true because we don't have an event that covers releasing the left key. And if you then press down the right key, the right press variable is going to be set to true, and it's going to print out to the console that both keys are pressed, even if that is not true. So if I click the left key on the keyboard and then the right key, as you can see, it's printing out that left and right are pressed down, even if they aren't. So we have to create two events that cover releasing the two keys, so that we make sure that the printout only happens when both left pressed and right pressed are true, meaning that both keys are pressed down. So you go up, and here we have the events for pressing down the left and pressing down the right key. So I'm just going to copy those, paste them down, and now we have to change the event type to key released. And we want to change left pressed and right pressed to false. So the key released events for the left and right key set the variables or states to false. And now this should work perfectly. So if I first click the left key and then the right key, nothing happens. If I hold down the left key and start holding down the right key, it starts to print out. And when I released one of them, it doesn't print out anymore. So I just press the A key so we can see that it still works. And if I press the mouse at the left part, it closes the application. And that's all for the exercises. And I'll see you in the next lesson. We're going to cover rendering.